Ah, welcome traveler. Come in, take a seat and put up your feet. Today, we're diving into a game called Dawn of Man, a prehistoric city building survival game, where we will be cooking up some roleplay to enhance the gameplay. This is part 8 in our multi-part series, and if you'd like to see more of this, please like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below. Let's get cooking. Welcome back to the River Clan. In the previous episode, we went ahead and expanded on the farm over here, as well as on the stables, and we had a look at upgrading some of our homes and storages. Now, between episodes, I went ahead and upgraded the last remaining huts over here, as well as the last remaining storages, just to get them out of the way in preparation for today's episode. And speaking of today's episode, we have a lot on our plate. We have big plans for our farming area, and I think it's going to look fantastic once it's done. But it may take some time, as we do have that limited amount of workforce with the workload, and we need to be very careful not to overexert our people, because at the moment we are very reliant on our farming. But let's dive into it and explore what we're going to do today, and then we can decide how we're going to tackle that piece by piece. So first things first, we do currently have a population of 34 and a population cap of 40, as we can see over here. Now, I do want to construct 2 additional buildings, so I'm going to go here, grab 2 huts, and we're going to place 2 additional huts right here, because we do need to try increase this population cap, and each of these huts provides space for 4, so that should give us up to 48. We will need the population going forward. That's the first thing. The second thing we're going to look at is coming here to the knowledge and unlocking pulses. We want pulse domestication, as it is very, very important. And then while we're at it, we're just going to grab flax as well. So pulses are a little bit different from the cereals. They're planted in the winter and harvested in the summertime. And then flax over here is actually used for something slightly different, which we will go into later. It's actually used for, you can see here, linen cloth. So you can start weaving and making cloth and clothing and so on, and you're no longer reliant on hunting animals for skins for cloth. And you can see here pulse domestications, complement cereals well, because it's different seasons that you're focusing on them. And we've unlocked a milestone. There we go, the Neo Farmer milestone, which is fantastic. Let's quickly have a look at that. Over here, manage milestones. So you can see we have progressively unlocked the first 6 out of 10, which I'm very happy about. And this you get just for having all of the Neolithic founder crops. So once that house is built, for these 2 huts, shall I rather say, we will look a little bit at expanding our farmland a bit here, just to accommodate the pulses. But we have to be careful where we're going to build, because we want to go get this fortifications. Now with fortifications, what that's going to do is it will allow us to build gates, watchtowers, standing platforms, and then fences as well, walls essentially. And I want to have a look at walling in this whole section here. We'll figure out how we're going to go around these rocks, but essentially up to around about here the wall will run. We'll have our pulse fields over here, and a little bit of space extra for, we look over here, the fruit tree domestication and the rye domestication. So I want to have just a little bit of extra space, so probably the wall would run roundabouts here, and that should fit in those additional ones in this space. But we'll figure out how to go around this. We will also have to look at getting rid of some of these rock collections, as they are in the way and blocking us. And we will have to chop down some trees. Lots of tree chopping, especially in this section and in this section over here. But before we get to expanding that, let's have a look at what other steps we will be taking today. So we're going to go and unlock underground mining, This is so important because you start running out of these deposits of surface stone and surface flint. So you want to come in, grab this, and this allows you to actually build mines that go underground. And you can send your villagers in there with picks to actually extract these resources from inside the earth itself. Then we're also going to go ahead and unlock fortifications now. We've got flax, and then we also want to get weaving. Now, we're not going to get the sheep domestication yet because we don't want too many sheep joining the settlement and eating too much of our food stock, and then eventually we can't feed any of our animals. So we're going to hold back a bit on that. And the last thing we're going to get in the Neolithic age is the megalithism, which we will actually focus on separately. Something else to also keep in mind is to go to your stables, to click over here on the animal limits, and to limit the amount of each animal that you have. Else they will just keep breeding and multiplying and eating you out of house and home. So I've set the limit over here to 20 goats. So if there's anything more than 20 goats, which we can see here, we currently have 25. Our villagers will actually come, and you see these have automatically been marked for slaughter. They will come in and slaughter the excess goats so that they don't eat all of the food. So we're also going to have a look at hopefully getting everything planted in the spring, and then in the fall or autumn time, hopefully we can harvest everything again and restock up on the straw. We do still have 64, as we can see over here, quite a bit there, and there's some straw actually stored inside the stables as well as throughout other storerooms. But we do want a large supply of straw to keep feeding all of our animals through winter, especially once we start unlocking other animals to domesticate. But before we can do any of that, we need to make sure that our villagers are coming in, planting all of the fields as needed, and finish the constructing of these 2 huts that we placed over there. Once that's all done, it will hopefully be summertime, and we can look at chopping down the trees. But for now, we take it step by step, and we make sure not to exceed this workload too high. It's already pretty high with 200%, but it's still within an acceptable margin. We don't want it to go any higher than that. And it is now summer. Our 2 huts have been completed, and for reasons that will be made clear, we've broken down one of the storehouses over here, the storage huts, and we've also broken down 2 of the piles, one for flint and one for wood. But that will be explained in due time. The important thing is that it is summer. We have fields that are planted. We should have enough straw that even with just this, it should see us through the winter. We are regulating our animal population, and new people are joining our settlement. We lost a few due to old age, which is something you always have to keep in mind, is that your numbers will constantly be fluctuating. But I think we should be okay to go. And we can actually now look at chopping down trees, clearing out space, so that in the autumn we can focus just on harvesting that, and winter can be for constructing. And as we can see from this, I've gone and allocated a lot of trees to be chopped down during the summer. Hopefully they'll get around to that, but the fields do have priority assigned to them. You can see you can set it down to normal priority or increase the priority. So even if it does go into autumn, our villagers should be working on these first. But hopefully we can get all these trees cut down, because we're going to be needing a lot of wood to build a wall around this whole entire area here that we want to make use of as our farmland. We have a bit of a raider attack that's suddenly happened here. It's quite annoying because, as you can see, the raiders just spawn in right on our borders, right next to our villagers. So this is one of the reasons why we need to get that wall up and our defensive fortifications up as soon as possible to avoid situations like this. So what we need to do is, firstly, set everyone on high alert. Hopefully they are going to... Oh, no. I was hoping they were going to run. Oh, no. Okay, they actually ended up attacking. These raiders killed one of our dogs. I mean, the villagers we can replace, but they killed our dogs. You know what this means, right? I'm assuming everyone that's watching this has seen the John Wick movies. because we are going to have to take revenge of the utmost kind. So we're going to send everyone over here. Double time. Come on. Come on, people. Can't let them get away. We're bringing the whole tribe for this. You can kill our villagers, but nobody kills our dogs. One down. Two down. Three down, and the fourth, I think, is actually running away. But good luck escaping us. Our people are running out of stamina, so we may not be able to catch them. Going to speed things up a bit though. There we go, and come on. So close, guys. Come on, you can do it. We're actually going to probably pay massively for bringing in such a large workforce just to hunt down one person. But you know what? I don't feel sad about it or sorry about it at all, because this is what happens when you attack us and you go ahead and kill our dog. Here we go. We can switch off the alarm. They can all cheer and then realize that they are so far from home. So ridiculously far from home. But it's fine. So I'm very sad about the dog that we lost. The humans, well, we'll replace them by the end of winter. So we've gone ahead and spent majority of this winter just cutting down trees, and hopefully we can get all of this done, as well as planting all of these fields, because spring has just come around. The land is turning nice and green. The snows are receding, and hopefully our workload isn't going to be too high, and all of our people get around to doing this important work right here. Once again, we've gone into a summer where we weren't actually able to plant all of our fields. The juggling of the workload and the amount of tasks that you're trying to do while you're in a season where you have to plant or harvest is extremely finicky. You have to make sure you have that balance perfect, or you could run the risk of not getting your fields planted or your harvest going to waste. I'm not quite sure which one is worse. Probably the wasted harvest. But we will definitely need to make a better plan with that. And with that in mind, we do actually want to have a look here at the land that we've cleared now. So we've cleared most of this out, and there are some fruit trees over here that we're going to just leave for the time being. We could still make use of them. But the areas that have been cleared out, we want to, before they go and trees regrow there, we definitely want to set up some palisade fencing. We want to start building this closed as soon as possible so that the raiders can't come in and attack us. Now how we're going to do this is we're actually going to set up our gates first. So we'll go ahead like so, and perhaps we'll have a gate here, round about, let's say, there. Then we'll come down to roundabouts here and we'll place another gate. Let's have a look if that one's there. Maybe roundabouts here somewhere. Yes, perhaps here. Actually, I think we'll do it. Yeah, let's do it there. And then we want one more gate over here. I think there. And then we can come in and place our palisade fencing. Now, we don't want to do too much of this fencing at one go, because else they won't complete it within this season. And it'll go over to the next season, and then our workload is too high, and we won't be able to harvest all of our crops in time. So we're going to build small segments of the wall to start off with. So we'll come in here and we'll just run a wall all the way. Let's make it to about there. I think that's a good idea. And we'll have them just construct that. And perhaps what we can do is just put in... We will actually delete some of this, but let's just get where the corner is. So I think the corner is going to be roundabouts here. Okay, fantastic. So I'm just going to have one built there. Let's go in like so. Actually, yeah, let's just do that. So we'll actually get them to place the corner in, just so we can get an idea of where the perimeter of our fence actually lies. And then we'll do the same over here on this side. So now we obviously have to have a look here where the gate is. Gate's round about there. So from this block across to there. Okay, so we're one off. So from this block to there. That should be fine. To there, and there we go. So we'll just get them to come place those corners in. Great, well, we'll leave them to construct that over the summer, and hopefully we can get it all done in time for the harvests that will come in autumn. And here we go, already into autumn. And as you can see, our wall is not completed. So if I had placed down all of the construction that needed to happen, we would greatly suffer in this autumn, just with the workload and making sure that our crops are brought in. Something to definitely keep in mind. As I say, the juggling act is a constant one in this game. But we have gone ahead and constructed 3 of the gates. So we will have easy access in through the front and out through the sides for any, stone or mineral or ore collection over here, and to go out on this side as well for any reason that we may go there. And then as we progress further deeper into this hill and forested area here, we will just continue expanding the wall around and further deeper in. But for the time being, we want to just focus on getting this at least laid out here, so that we can start up with our defensive perimeter. Now, once the walls are constructed, which are currently, placed down, I do want to focus on getting our defenses up for our village over this winter time. You will remember that earlier in this video, I went ahead and removed one of these storage huts that was over here, and that was because, well, it was blocking off where the wall would go. I'll show you in a minute, as soon as winter starts, that the placement of that was a little bit askewed. We actually needed to get rid of that storage hut, just to make sure that we could fit the gate in here properly. Then what we'll do is we'll build a wall going around the settlement, protecting as much as possible, and also leaving a little bit of additional space for some additional expansion towards the back here. Whether we're going to encapsulate that now or later within the wall is still to be determined. But we definitely want to protect our little settlement that we have going on here so far. Another thing we want to have a look at over here is these mines. So we do have the technology, so what we want to do is come here to production and actually grab this flint mine over here and build it onto this. Our workload is pretty low at the moment, so I do believe that our people will come in and start mining this. And this is very important, as you actually eventually exhaust the surface collections. These little piles of flint and stone become exhausted quite quickly. So you want to start making use of these mines that actually go into the surface of the earth, go down below, and you can extract the resources from the inside. It is quite a bit of work that your people will need to put in, and they will burn through pickaxes while doing this work, but it is much better than having to travel far and wide just to get flint. So as you can see here, it takes very little resources. Let's quickly have a look over here. As you can see, it takes 6 logs, not much to build. They'll just construct it reasonably quickly. You can see the construction speed here, and it's quite literally just a hole in the ground which they will go into and collect the flint out of. 65 flint for a hole like this, so not great, but it will do. As you can see here, our flint collection area has actually been exhausted, but luckily we did get this flint mine up and running just in time, so we should be good to go. Fall has now come to an end, and all of our crops have also been brought in, so we can actually look at dedicating this winter towards building a defensive perimeter around our village. So to go into some details about this defensive perimeter, we're going to first look at where we can put in the gate itself. Now, with that previous hut here, the gate would have actually been blocked off and we wouldn't have been able to build here at all. But at the moment we actually are just lucky enough in that we have just enough space. We may need to build in a little bit of a zigzag here by the river's edge, but it's not a major problem. We can just pull it back to about there. We can place entity, and then we can just go and do it kind of in a much larger zigzag. Just make sure that we are getting past here, so it's there, and then we'll pull it behind these houses. There is, of course, unfortunately, a tree blocking us there. That's fine, we will deal with these trees in due time. Maybe we go to about here. Okay, that seems good. And then we do that to there, and we can set these trees to actually be chopped down as well during this winter time. Get the work done now so that in summer we won't be struggling with that. Now people will run around and continue building, chopping down wherever we have allocated, and we can just have a look so long. We don't necessarily have to build it yet, but we can have a look at where would we place our other gates. Now we will probably need one going that way, so it may be in our interest to just come in here and cancel some of this. It will be 3 pieces for that. Come in, have a look at our gate, rotate it. There we go, we have a gate placed there, so they'll have access to this stretch here. And we can have a look over here where we want to have our other gate placed. Now, I do recommend leaving a little bit of space for potential expansion. You do want to eventually build more houses and not just upgrade. Upgrading is great, but there will come a point where we will be reliant on actually building more houses themselves. So I think what we're going to do is push it all the way back to, let's go around about there. That looks good to me. And then we'll take it in again. Let's check here. We have a look. There's our fence. So it's around about this point here. There we go. Slap that down. And slap this one down. Get these trees chopped down, and this will be built in due time. So we're going to just let that run through the winter and hopefully be finished. If not, we should be okay for the springtime for planting. We don't have a major amount of work happening at the moment, so I think that we should be okay. Now, the reason why I've stopped here is because we can always come in at a later stage once we've expanded inside here, finished the perimeter obviously, and built houses inside. That still leaves us with a little bit of space outside that we can go and build a secondary wall around. Now this can be used for something like a production area, or somewhere where we may construct these stone circles, the menhirs, statues, things like that. But it allows you to then come in and grab that little piece of territory, encapsulate it, defend it, but you don't want to overstretch yourself you don't want to have too much constructing, pushing your workload to too much where you can't actually handle it. For the time being, we don't actually need this space here. It would be great when we get to that point, but for now we just need this little bit of extra space over here, and we'll come in along here, over there, and run the wall down, and we'll figure out something to do here with these graves. We may actually end up moving these graves. I think perhaps we should take them to this little corner over here and set up a proper graveyard. Just a little bit away, still with respectful distance, but not right on the doorstep. And we can also look at actually building a wall around this eventually as well, just to protect it. But at the moment, winter, this takes priority, and let's see how much of this wall we can actually finish up before the spring arrives. So we managed to make it through the winter into spring, but we did not manage to finish this wall. And that's okay. There's not a lot that still needs to be built on it. A small little stretch over here, a little bit over here, and then a tiny bit, and one or two pieces there, and over there. So not too bad. And our workload isn't too high, so our people can still focus on planting, getting that done in the spring. So even now with such a high population, we're sitting at 47 population capacity for 48. That workload is still a thing you need to juggle, you still need to play around with. If you're playing this game and you're about to reach the Neolithic age, I would actually recommend that you hold back on progressing. So don't progress through to this age, hold back a little bit and try and build up a population of at least 50. Having played this far, I've had a look at it, and I think that if you have a higher population and you're actually able to sustain them through animals and, hunter-gatherer lifestyle, if you can sustain them through that and get to a population of 50, once you hit the Neolithic age, you'll have the population you'll need to start up a nice farmland, get production up, get enough animals that you can regularly slaughter, you can cook the meat, you can bake the bread, which obviously you're getting from the flour, which you also have to make from whatever crops you're busy harvesting. You'll have the workforce to actually deal with this. I think under 50 you will struggle a little bit, as we've seen here. We've had one or two really sketchy winters where we're actually wondering about whether we're going to have enough straw for the animals or not. We've pulled through every time so far by limiting our animal population, the domesticated animal population. But I would recommend that you try get to that population of 50 people. Another thing that I would probably recommend to do is to actually go here and just get this sheep domestication. I'm going to do that right now. And the reason for this is that sheep will actually provide you with wool, and your villagers can use that wool to make clothes for the winter. Then you're not reliant on skins or flax or anything else. You can just harvest that straight from the animals. I'll go into my managing resource limits here, and I'll set maximum limit for sheep to 10. So there's 10 goats, 10 sheep. Everything else is also set to 10, but we haven't unlocked them yet. We have the space here in the stables to house them. We will have enough food. I think we'll be good to go. We've just hit summer, and I think we actually did pretty well in the previous spring with the planting. I'm going to let it run, and we can actually see how many of our crops were planted in the springtime. That is a fantastic amount. I'm really happy with that, and I think that once the autumn comes around, we're going to have a great harvest. So now we can just let this run, they'll mature. Summer can be spent just working, and we can focus on finishing off our buildings, chopping down more trees, and getting things ready for winter. Once autumn hits, it's all about cutting down these crops, harvesting them, and bringing them in for the long cold. I've gone and filled up the gaps in the wall over there. Hopefully our villagers will be able to have those built during the summer. And I've also gone ahead and just started building this wall over here as well. It is a little bit wonky. It's not even, it's not symmetrical, but I think it's going to look quite nice once it's done, and it will protect our people very well against animals or raiders attacking us. I'm also going to go ahead and take some of these burial mounds over here, and I think that we'll just move them across to this site. I was just checking out the placement here, but I don't want to overload our workload, so I'm actually going to go and cancel them for now, and we'll pick them up once we actually have a gap to build. Right, so construction wise we didn't get as far as I wanted to in the summer, but we were able to complete this stretch over here. And now it is autumn, so we want our people to focus on bringing in the harvest. So I'm not going to go ahead and expand on this wall quite yet, but I'm quite happy with the progress that we're making. They were also able to chop down all the trees here, so it's been cleared out a bit. The only thing that I do have a bit of a concern with is this pile of stones here. I think it's going to block the wall that will run along this ridge here, but we'll deal with that when it gets to that point. It's not a major concern, but it is something that we do need to put some priority on if we want to finish this perimeter off. Now, another thing to also keep in mind is that as your perimeter is getting finished, you do also want to make sure that you have gates at the correct places to go in and out. And in addition to that, we can also go and set up some watchtowers. Now, this is a very basic tower that your settlers will actually use to climb into and defend from, shoot arrows from at any invaders. And alternatively, you can also have the wooden platform. Now what this does is it attaches to the inside or outside, but preferably the inside of your palisade wall, and it allows your villagers to actually climb on top of this and to shoot arrows from this platform down onto any invaders that are coming through from the other side. Very useful and very good for defense. The watchtowers themselves, they don't actually have to be placed behind the wall, they can be placed anywhere out in the open. So actually quite useful if you want to place, for example, over here where we know people will be crossing the bridge when they invade. We could go ahead and plant a watchtower over here just to be able to defend from either side, depending on which side of this river any invading raiders would be coming. But we're not going to worry about watchtowers quite yet, as I do want our people to focus on the harvest and finishing up the wall over there, and in winter we'll see about wrapping this corner up. So this year has actually been fantastic in regards to harvesting. We know that all 6 of our fields were planted almost to the max, and we were able to harvest all 6 throughout the entirety of autumn. So a very good harvest this year. In fact, we have 177 straw and quite a lot of grain as well. And this should see us quite far into the future. In fact, we actually went and hit the 500 mark for grain and for straw as well. So we had some extra knowledge points unlocked over there. As you can see, grain and straw both 600, which is fantastic. The more knowledge we can get, the more things we can unlock in the future. But winter is now upon us, and this wall is nearly completed, so we're actually going to have a look at building this corner now, getting these stones picked up, and hopefully we can get our villagers nice and safe behind some secure walls and gates. And here in the middle of our building progress, some raiders did show up and try to attack us, 5 of them. So we know the drill. We go and set everyone to alert. We come on over here. Everyone should be gathering up. Here we go, watch them run on over. And then we can go and select them, like so. All the eligible fighters by holding in H and dragging and dropping. So we've selected all of them. Send them up through to here. And Send them through and we'll come deal with the raiders. Hopefully we don't lose anyone here. Let's have a look. Fantastic. I think our force was just so overwhelmingly powerful that we were able to deal with them without any incidents recurring, any loss of life. Once this wall is actually up and going properly, it will be much easier to deal with raiders, because then we can actually come here to our gates, set them to be closed. We can have people sitting in the towers and shoot the raiders from behind proper defenses. Less risk to our people's lives. But it is the end of winter now. That raider attack did take quite a bit of our time there. But I think that we should have this finished in summer at the latest. But once spring hits, which is just around the corner, we will again need to focus on farming. It's a cycle that you are going to have to do every single year, and you are going to have to keep it very consistent with your workload being juggled and making sure that this gets priority over everything else while your buildings actually take the back seat. But let's let things run and see how things turn out. Another winter survived, and the great thing about that is you will get a knowledge point with each winter that you make it through the game. So you're never at a point where you're completely stagnant and there's no possibility of any growth in technologies. As we can see, our workload is very high at the moment. Again, that is because we have constructions up and we want our people to be planting these fields. I've actually been giving this some thought, and I think that when we do eventually expand our farming operations, we won't go to this size field again. The reason why we've gone for such large fields is we want to generate enough straw so that we can feed our animals. And we're going to have about 9 to 12 possible stables by the end of this, just to house all of the different animals that we possibly can. 2 stables for each, I think. And we want to make sure we're producing enough food for them. But on the other hand, the other farms that we're going to set up for the pulses don't necessarily have to be this size. And not only the pulses, but if we go here to our knowledge points, we'll see that we actually get fruit tree domestication. Now the great thing with this is we'll be able to plant trees that will persist, and we can harvest them in the seasons that the fruit come in. And the children that we have in the settlement will actually be able to come and harvest these fruits as well, thus making it a lot easier for the grown-ups and the adults to have a bit more time to do the other tasks that they need to. So the kids can actually help out the community as well. And there we go. Our wall is finished, just as autumn comes around the corner. It's looking pretty good. The only gap is this one over here, where we just need to get rid of the stone, and then we can finish that off. And then we can look at putting in some guard towers as well. Our fields are also nice and full, so we know in this autumn, if we can get the harvest done, we're going to have nice full supplies. And speaking of the harvest, we have gone and constructed some additional storage as well. 2 additional haystacks. Although I actually wonder if that's going to be enough. We may need to expand that a bit and add another 2. And our wall should be able to run all along nicely through there as soon as we get rid of these 2 stone piles over here. So a lot has been done, a lot of crops have been sown, a lot of crops have been harvested, trees have been chopped down and walls have been built, and our people are a lot safer than they were, but there are still many improvements that need to be done to the settlement before we are even halfway through what can be achieved in this age. The Neolithic age in this game has so much to offer, and we have so many great things still coming in a future episode. But not in today's episode, because this is all the time we have. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, as that would greatly help the channel. If you would like to be kept updated as to new videos being released, then please hit that notification bell. If you have any feedback, suggestions or requests, leave a comment down below and let us know. Until next time, this is Roast Temp. keep cooking.